Basically, today we want to talk about content creation. 2025, every new year, people want to do new things. And I feel like something that everyone should look into, or at least attempt, is content creation. I feel like, especially thinking about like side hustles and things, so many things are tied to creating content. So I think this is a pretty cool conversation we're going to have. You're hearing from two different perspectives, me from being someone that's been creating content basically for 10 plus years, it feels like, and my wife kind of dabbling into content creation, but now really doing it a lot more now recently.
Yeah.
How do you feel being you started a podcast? I don't think we ever mentioned that to my
Yeah.
audience. You're what? Well, actually, talk about your podcast a little bit. Just plug it. So it's for free advertising.
Lols. Yeah. So it's been a while. We hadn't recorded together. I've been recording solo. And I launched my podcast. Um, yeah, Charnae is a vessel, which has been exciting. To your point, it's like it was interesting. I had done creative things before, but it was completely different. In undergrad, my um degree was merchandising, so I had done fashion blogging and fashion content and more things of like sort of early stages of UGC when I lived in Atlanta, and then stepped away from that. And had done some writing creatively, thinking more about um, just sharing with others, encouraging them in their faith, drawing them closer to the Word of God. It was more of like a written piece that I did some like digital content for, but didn't really pick up much. Really got focused back into my 9 to 5 work, and still felt like I wasn't really being obedient to God around that area of something that He called me to. And so when I had another huge shift in my life, it felt like God again calling me to be obedient and to try a different route of communication. So I went from like writing and vlogging, or writing and like blogging, to trying out my hand at video content in a podcast with YouTube channel. So that has been me.
Yeah, I think I was a big jump. I was very proud of you when you did that. But thinking about the audience of thinking of someone actually trying to dabble into, video creation, thinking about short form content or long form content. How did it feel when you first turned that camera on and just started recording?
Well, the roles that I had done in sales were ones where I was always communicating with people and speaking via Zoom. So being on camera really wasn't something that I thought too much about. Um, Sort of going back to your initial thought, though, I know you said like it's something you think like everyone should try their hand out. I would say the opposite. I think that the creative space that I navigate prepared me, thinking about fashion, thinking about even my sales role being one where I'm on video, I'm interacting, engaging in that way. And so all of those pieces sort of uniquely set me up in this space where once I started navigating it, it felt very natural to me. But I think in that way, whatever you start this year, it should be something that's natural to you, something that there's already pieces where God has already gifted you in certain arenas. And now it's sort of that culmination of all of these things coming together. And so maybe that will be content creation. Maybe it will be something completely different, but I will think you'll look at the small moments of your life before whatever it is that you begin to do, and you'll see that there are already ways that you are being prepared and that your gifts were being sharpened. So when it's time to actually move into obedience for what you're called to do, you'll already have this skill set, because that's what it felt more like, that it was all of a sudden just combining all of these different things that I already known how to do, and then just going like full force and just leaning into it and doing it.
So you had no fear at all, like starting it? It was just like, cause like, so if you didn't have no fear, what took you so long?
Being busy, honestly.
Okay.
Um, I'm someone, if I'm gonna do something, I want to do it right. I want to do it full out, and I don't want to quit. And just based on how my work was, it was like just full encompassing. It took all of my thought, all of my energy. I'm already on video. I'm talking to people. I'm engaging all day. So like energy wise, mental wise, I was drained by the end of the day. The last thing I wanted to do was then get back on camera and then do something like that was fully engaged again. And I wasn't going to do something, especially something that is ministry, that is encouraging for the kingdom, and have do it.
Yeah.
So it was like, if I'm not going to do it in integrity, then I wasn't going to even like have do it.
Got it. Got it. I got you. So I'm kind of speaking on my experience. I think nowadays it's so easy just to turn the camera on and record, and it's just so natural because I'm doing it so much. Like I can legit have any kind of conversation and just record it. You talked about what we call UGC. If you never heard about it, is user generated content. So companies want people to pretty much shoot ads for them, but they just want it to be someone real. They want it to be a little natural. So it's like when we kind of like was dabbling into UGC, it was just like this was, I'm naturally talking, I'm naturally doing it. So it's never at first it felt like sales, when I was doing it at first, but after a while they just want you to talk regular and it's like just turn the camera and talk. I think a lot of people are afraid of, putting themselves out there even though they have conversation with people all day long.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something different. I mean, to your point, UGC really, it still is a sale. It's very much marketing. And so even like navigating into that felt very natural because I was selling people all day.
Yeah.
So now it's just selling people with a different type of product. So yeah, I think even in that, when I think about just the different arenas creatively that we've navigated into, there's still been these random spaces where our life naturally sort of were congruent to doing these things. So I think finding those spaces whenever you're thinking about doing something creative or launching something, just looking for the places already in your life, the tools you already have. I think so many times people feel ill-equipped to do something because they're like, I don't have the resources, I don't have the know-how. And by all means, there are so many sources, social media, online, that you can figure out how to do things. But it's easier if you at least know, like I would say, I already knew 70% of what I needed to do. And then 30% was figuring out like the technology, which you showed me how to do in like a week. And then from there, I was rolling, right? Like I could do it by myself. So if you at least have a good majority of the skill set that you need, then what you're now integrating is just some of those like sharpening tools. Now it's navigating it, not just the foundation of doing it, but now being a bit more curated coming into the new year and being more intentional about some of those tweaks that's going to just enhance the way that I'm communicating for people so it reaches more souls.
Yeah, yeah. No, I like how you say that because you have to find something that you enjoy. I think about me doing a motivational podcast. When I talk to people all day long, positivity and stuff. So when I was able to do the podcast, it was so natural because it was me. I'm not trying to sell people on life insurance or, sell them on stuff that wasn't 100% me. Because I think when you think about creating content, you want to make sure it's something that you're doing naturally. Because for the most part, when you first start into creating content, people's goal is to make money, but it's like you're not going to make money when you first start. You have to build into that. So doing something you don't like for a long period of time is not going to help you. I think about Eric Thomas that we listened to the podcast, and they were explaining how it's like you can't just do it for money. You have to do it for the love because the money's not going to come right away.
Yeah, and I'll say something slightly controversial, I would say, in the society that we live in, but it's okay if you want to do something creative that's not for money. Like completely thinking about Vessel, no part of me is thinking about Vessel for a check. Vessel was for obedience. There are certain things that you're called into creatively that you're just like, there's somebody I want to inspire, someone I need to encourage, and you're not thinking about what it would look like monetarily. And those things are 100% okay. I think so many times now, whenever someone has something creative they want to do or a hobby, immediately people are like, how you can profit off of it. But there are some things that the reward is so much greater than anything monetary. And it's just something that you love to do and that you have a heart to do and a heart to serve people in. And it's okay to still have those things to do. Like it's okay to do some things and it not be for money.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of like that. I think it's still hard though. It's like if I'm doing something, I'm doing it for money. I think it's like after a while, once you're good at something, people try to use you for what you're good at, and it's like after a while, it's like, man, I need to get paid for this.
I don't know. I think, well, I don't know. I guess When I think about my work, like 9 to 5,
Yeah.
absolutely like my gifts were being utilized for money,
Hmm.
but you knew that going in. And so, like, you sort of
Yeah.
had a price associated. Doing something on my own gave me a freedom where my voice, I didn't feel like I needed to manipulate or like, sort of finesse anyone with my gifts. It was more about just genuinely communicating in a
Being
way
yourself.
that honored people. And because it was me doing it out of my own energy, time, money, resources, nobody gets to put a like tag on my head for how much I need to contribute or build or metrics. Like, I just get to do it. So it's funny because a little different me and Jelan, I think coming from that kind of role, when I went into Vessel, I didn't come in thinking about metrics and numbers, which I don't think is a bad thing, because different, he knows that that is something he wants to do. It will be a business endeavor. It will grow, and God will bless it in that way. But I was so sick of feeling like everything I did had to be tied to a metric and a number that I'm like, I'm not looking at stats. I'm not looking at that. I want to encourage and to pour into people. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think speaking to that person that's just starting, don't look at the numbers. Like, don't look at the numbers at all. Don't think about, having actually I want to move that there first, but don't think about the numbers. Just pretty much just put it out and just do it and just have fun of doing it, being consistent. So Charnay's doing her episodes every single week. Be consistent posting, have a schedule of how many times you want to post a week. Pick the platform. If it's YouTube, I'll say at least once a week. If it's Instagram, 3 to 4 times a week. TikTok might be gone by the time we drop this episode.
Dang.
But think about like your platform and think about just being consistent and enjoying the process. Don't think about the numbers, because when you first start, you might not even be that good. But a point that I wanted to hit is that when you do start, don't expect the support and love from your family and friends, because it's not going to come. I think that's probably one of the more difficult things for people to grasp, is like when you do start in a content creation journey, you might think that, all your friends that are telling you, oh my gosh, good job. Like when you first post that you drop in the podcast, they're like, oh my gosh, good job. I can't believe I'm so excited for it. And that second episode comes out, nobody listening to it, and you could get discouraged like that. So don't have that mindset. And how would you, did you have any feeling of like, man, when I drop this, people are going to support me, or did you have a feeling like, yeah, I'm posting it regardless?
Yeah, I didn't have like any expectation for it to be family, friends. I knew God had put it on my heart, and it was something that like it just like wouldn't let up. So there was someone that needed to touch, and I could say who it was for, but I was like, whoever it's for, it must be very important, because God keeps putting on my heart that I need to share in this way. I need to create in this way. So I think coming from a background of also having that duality of merchandising, of marketing, I did create sort of more like a persona. And it was just to help me to stay very intentional, so that when I am communicating, when I am sharing a message, I have sort of that ideal person in my head. We listened to a podcast. Dr. Sarita wrote her book, Church Girl, and she thought about making that persona of like, who am I writing this book to? Who am I speaking to? So that way, every time that I get in front of the camera, there's like certain young women in mind who I'm thinking about conveying the message to. If I was sitting having coffee with them, what would I want to share with them about Christ? So I think that was more of the space of having um, the heart and mind of who I was speaking to, but I didn't have expectations for it being necessarily family or friends. Honestly, wasn't sure like what people's reaction would be to it, just because mine is very curated about faith, and so everybody may or may not be in a space where like top of mind for them is thinking about how I grow and how I develop in faith, and sort of discerning more things through the word of God that may not be top of mind for some people, who I'm super close with at all, or they might already be in a place where they have deeply matured and they're not, I don't know. I didn't come in with any expectation. So that was one thing that I wasn't thinking about at all. Um
Before you keep going,
yeah.
I do want to hit on the point that you talked about. You talked about your avatar. So,
Hmm.
I forgot. I don't know if it's just avatar or it's just something else, like whatever. But I'm gonna call it avatar for now. But
Okay.
I like that point. So basically, what a lot of people when they talk about creating content or creating a business, you think about who that person who is for, and you actually create the avatar. You name the person. So for me, my avatar's name is Anthony. So Anthony, he lives in the South. He's like 25 to like 32, like he's around that age. And he's in a job he don't like, and he's trying to like get motivation to get out. So that's what I think about when I'm creating my podcast. I'm thinking about Anthony. Anthony's just an imaginary person. I don't know anybody named Anthony, but it's imaginary. So when you are getting into that content field, think of that person that is going to be perfect for. And that person is not going to be, Anthony's not my mom, not my dad, not my sisters, not my, you know what I mean? It's like you got to think of that person that you can help, because that's what you're creating that content for. It's not going to be for everybody. When you think about creating content, if you're creating it for everybody, you're going to create it for nobody. So I think that's very, very important as well. So that was a good point.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you definitely have to go in very, very locked in on your why. Why are you doing it, who it's for, and what your expectation is, because that's going to again help you navigate. If why is for it to grow into a business and develop in a certain way, then you are probably going to have some metrics and statistics that you're keeping up with. If it's something that is just a passion and you're just flowing in it and open to how it can grow and develop, or if it switches from being online to in person or a business, then your flow may be a little different. But I think it's good for you to, we started earlier this year doing like these creative cards, and that's when we sort of share more with each other about like the personas and what it looked like to develop like our creative strategy and why we're posting on certain channels. And it just helps you like figure out why you're doing what you're doing. And if you get into that rut, you get a little sort of stuck creatively, you can go back to that foundation of what you're doing and then just continue to build and grow from there.
Yeah, yeah. No, you definitely are gonna get in a rut. When you first start, you're all hype, and then you make one video, two videos, three videos, and then now it's the episode drops on Thursday and it's Wednesday, and you're like, yo, I didn't even record it, because I think it's very, very hard to get in that habit of consistently posting. So you see all these people that you're fans of, and you're fans of them is because they're consistent. So I think that's something that you want to be making sure you do, because you think about anything, sports is going to come on, football's going to come on every single Sunday, whatever show you come on. They don't have any shows that come on every day anymore, right? I guess not. All episodes be out on Netflix
I was
nowadays.
about to say Netflix, everything dropped like the same
The same
time.
day. Well,
So
back in the day, my day, they used to have How to Get Away with Murder came on every Thursday, and it's like you was waiting for that Thursday to drop. There's no way Thursday could have came and the show wasn't coming on. It's just like it's automatically. So like when you do your thing, making sure you're consistent. Don't try to do it every single day, because there's no way you're gonna be consistent that way. You're gonna get burned out, stressed out, and then not do it. So take it easy, take your time, and once a week, I'll say, if you're doing YouTube anyway.
yeah, yeah. And I think whatever you do, it's just creating goals for yourself, or a flow for yourself that feels natural and doable. Um, you know, Everyone's a little different when it comes to goals. At the beginning of the year, everyone's thinking about what goals look like. But again, something probably controversial, but your goals don't have to be aggressive goals, right? If you're starting something, you say, I want to start every other week, because that's something you can balance within all the spaces of your life. If you're still working, if you're a parent, if all of these things, then start with every other week, right? And you get into a flow and you have a really good cadence and creatively things are coming to you more, then you can increase it. You can always grow, but to the point, if you say, hey, consistently, I'm going to post every single week, and you're in month 2 and you already are skipping days and missing things, then you're probably going to get discouraged. You're going to get frustrated, and then you're going to quit. And I'd rather you do something where you start in a way that you can actually stay and maintain pace than to overwhelm yourself and burn out, because I don't know. I'm definitely that person that I'm like slow and steady. When you think about the tortoise and the hare, it's like
Yeah.
do something that you can maintain. You can always grow it later once you start building that muscle just to stay consistent in it.
And I feel like we're saying the same thing. So we're gonna shift this episode mid-episode. So you talked about we just said the same exact thing. You talked about goals for 2025. I know I just put an episode about it, but I think it's different to have your perspective as well. How did you set your goals in general for 2025?
Mm.
I know I caught you off guard, but hey,
Yeah, I
that's why you gotta
know.
be a good DJ
You
around here.
said we weren't even talking about goals, so I hadn't even thought
I
about
just
communicating. So
I
just talking
just
about creative things or just in general?
goals in general. I just heard how this episode was going, and we just kept talking about the same thing over and over again. And I said it's time to switch it.
I don't
So,
think we was talking
so that's
about
why you
this.
got to be a good
I
DJ. I've
don't
been
think
doing
we
this
was
for a long
talking
time,
about the
guys.
same thing.
A long time, guys.
I don't think we was talking about the same thing.
I'm saying my notes. I'm
I just
done.
think
Look at
we
my
were
notes.
agreeing. Are you
My
done
notes
with
is
your
done.
notes?
Look at my notes. Look what else I got on here.
Choose your platform. Dang. Well,
That's my note. I'm all out. That's what I'm
that's it.
saying. That's why you gotta be a good DJ.
All right.
And
Well,
you ain't gonna get here when you first start. When you first start, you're not gonna get. I've been doing this for years.
all right. Well, yeah, I guess for me then, thinking about my creative goals. Okay, here's the gag. I really haven't developed any creatively for
Okay.
so
Wow. Well, talk
we're
about that.
so fun fact, we said Happy New Year. Right now it's still the last week of December, and this has been a lot going on in my personal life. So still Happy New Year, but I am still, by the time this comes out, I will actually have some goals. But right now the goal is just to maintain. The goal is to maintain. Long term, there's some things in just our life where I want to start batch recording a bit more. I would say maybe that's the first thing I'm thinking about, staying ahead on content. That's going to help me out in thinking about other things that I want to pursue and do this year. And then maybe partnering with a few trusted people to share a bit more. Thinking about guests. I don't want it to be a huge part of the podcast, but there are a couple of people that have came to mind that I think their testimony could encourage people. So I would say that's my biggest thing: staying consistent, staying ahead by doing some batch recording, and then maybe incorporating a few trusted people to share that space with me.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. I think for me, just mainly just taking it week by week. I think we look at the year and it's just so big. It's 52 weeks. That's a long time. But 52 weeks is a long time. So I think for me, it's more of taking it week by week, of having goals for that week, getting that accomplished, and then moving on to the next week. Is because, my goal is to drop an episode a week. I'm dropping 3 shorts on YouTube a day, which is a lot. I do not do that. That's crazy, but I'm a crazy person. But hey, I am. But it is hard to do, but my main goal is to do it for one week. Okay, now what are my goals for the next week? And just keep moving that way, because trying to look at it as a year thing, it's hard. I read a book called The 12-Week Year, and it's basically breaking down, the year. Instead of doing the 12 months, just 12 weeks, and each week is a month. And if you really break it down like that, you kind of slow down, because people are like, oh man, the year's moving so fast, because you ain't doing nothing. You know what I mean? If you actually have goals and you're like, okay, I did this, I did that, I did that. Now the year ain't gonna be moving that fast, because every single week you're doing something productive, instead of just like, man, where did time go? It's August already.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely that space of, and I'm sure some things you spoke about on your episode as well, but thinking about creatively having a separate space of goals for the things that are creative. Like I said, it's funny because it's not that I haven't set any goals. I've set high level my life goals, but I haven't thought about one specific to Vessel, right? That's like a whole nother space of like time with God and prayer, of thinking about what that uniquely looks like. So having a unique space of a planner just for your creative things, if that's something that really like you really want to grow in and you have big goals for the year, I would encourage you to set some space and time to separately dedicate to setting your goals just for that, alongside for the year. And then, breaking it down to things that are attainable, breaking it down into quarterly goals, into monthly goals, into weekly goals. I think the more simple you make every task, it's going to give you more of the ability to feel like I can get this done. Break it down into the simplest piece. Most of the time when people don't do things, it's because you're looking at the whole picture of something and it feels unattainable, versus if you break something down into like the most granular single step that I can do every single day. And then again, it's just about building that consistency and that momentum and getting more clarity as you go.
Yeah, yeah, I do like that. So let's think of like the avatar. Like my avatar is Anthony. He's working right now. How can he balance his regular life with creating content? How would you advise that? Or you want me to start with that?
Um, I would say biggest thing is that you have to really determine like what matters. I guess even before thinking about doing something creative, know that if you are still working full time, if you are a parent, if you are a wife, if you like, you are going to have to dedicate time solely to this. You're going to need a schedule. You're going to need to prioritize when you're doing things. You can't just casually determine, like, oh, maybe I'll record today, maybe I won't. Like, at least I have time set during the week that I need to record at least one out of three of these times. I need to edit one out of three of these days of the week, right? So that way you have some flexibility, but it needs to get done by the end of the week. I'm a person that, as long as the goal gets done by the deadline, I'm flexible about how it gets done. But you need to figure out what that looks like for you. If you need to make it like, nah, it has to get done on Mondays at noon, the Mondays at noon, get to it. If not, you're not going to get it done. You're probably going to have to tune out things like your extra Netflix binging, random calls to chat with people just because. And it's not telling you to like isolate yourself and not enjoy those things. It's just there's some times where you're doing something just to distract yourself. Like you're like, okay, I'm going to write today. And then you're like, let me check on my mama. You just talked to your mother yesterday and she's fine. So like you have to not let yourself distract yourself. You know what things you have to get done. So yeah, it's easy to do that. I definitely will have stuff where I'm like, all right, I'm about to edit. And I'm like, let me FaceTime my sister and talk to my nephew. And it's like, you're just distracting yourself. Sit down at your laptop, give it 30, 45 intentional minutes, and then sure, go call someone, go do things. But you have to stay dedicated and you have to set a schedule.
Yeah, no, that's very good. I'm definitely not good at doing that. I'm still able to get these episodes out because I just, working like crazy, but it's definitely not a healthy thing. I remember Thanksgiving passed and I was dropping 2 episodes, probably even 3 episodes a week and just going in, and then Thanksgiving came, family was here. It took up so much of my time. I couldn't really do anything. I barely recorded an episode, and that was at like 12 o'clock midnight. And then that threw me off so much that I still am not back on to how consistent I was. Is because I was just going. So it's definitely important to, what I'm going to work on is making sure I have a schedule. This, like, I have to record Monday, no matter what's going on, record Monday. If I have to write Tuesday, no matter what's going on, write Tuesday. I think it's all about your sacrifices because, like she says, you can't be watching all the Netflix shows. I haven't watched a full basketball game or football game for the last, what? I don't even know how many years. Probably 3 years, probably. 'Cause I think we watched the last game I saw was like the Super Bowl that we watched
Oh,
when Rihanna was
Rihanna.
performing. That's how long ago I've actually watched a full game, and we didn't even really watch it. We was painting and stuff like that.
Oh, we were.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like, so I just know where I'm pretty much sacrificing is that I know I can't be able to put attention to so many other things. I have to work on mine, but I think definitely what I need to work on is just making sure I have my schedule of exactly what days I can do it. Like you think about back in the days, like I don't know, you never learned how, you don't know how to swim. Sorry, I ain't mean to throw you under the bus like that. I just think about swimming. I just think
Trying to
about swimming. I
expose
don't
me out
know,
here.
no.
Expose me.
But what I'm thinking is like, didn't you have something where you did like once a week, like something extra activity?
Yeah, I was on dance team.
Dance
I was a
team.
cheerleader.
Okay, so for example, you got dance team every single Wednesday, right? You got dance team every single Wednesday. No matter what you're doing, you're gonna find a way to get to dance class every Wednesday, right? So
Mhm.
that's the same thing as when you actually have your schedule of what you need to do. If you need to edit, you need to record, you need to write every single Wednesday, no matter what's going on, you gotta find the time to do it because it's important. Somebody tries to call you. My sister calls me all the time. I love her when I'm doing stuff and I answer the phone, which is a bad thing. I'm a big brother, but it's just like if I was at swim class or if I was at something else, I wouldn't be answering the phone because I'm unavailable. So that's the same way you have to take when you're actually trying to do this is like, yo, I'm unavailable at this time because this is very important to me.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it goes back to why at the beginning I said it's not something necessarily for everybody. Because everyone's not necessarily going to want to make those sacrifices so that they can stay consistent and create. not even in like a bad way. It's just there's so many things if you're on social media where you'll like scroll and see a page and you're like, what is this? And it was something somebody started, one of your friends, one of a family member, and you're like, oh, they did do that. They did start this. They did do that. Like how many people like just start things and quit things.
Yeah.
But by all means, in the most encouraging way, if you want to try something, try. Maybe if that endeavor doesn't work, it will pique your interest to develop something else or lead you to the thing that is the thing. But ultimately do know it is a sacrifice. And so it may not be something that you may start 2025 and then you realize, and maybe that's your growth for the year, to realize being consistent is hard. Like doing something like this is really hard for me. And you grow, develop more knowledge about your, places you still need to develop, thinking about anything you want to do additional to your current day to day. But I won't say it's for the faint of heart. It takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of mental space, but it's worth it. I think when the reason you're doing it, like for me, like I said, I didn't do it for any space of thinking that it would be family or friends. But when you have those moments where you encounter someone and they're like, oh wow, no, like I listened, like I saw that and that encouraged me, like I'm like, to God be the glory, because sometimes, especially online, believe it or not, you really don't necessarily interact sometimes with the people that are seeing things. So you're just continuing to post and share, and you're hoping it's reaching who it's supposed to reach. You're praying like someone's getting motivated, someone's getting encouraged. This is helping somebody else to continue to push through. And so when someone does in fact share that, like it encourages them and that they're grateful for what God is doing through you, then that's wild. It's not really like a feeling you can put words to, but it's like that, that's why I'm doing this. So every sacrifice is worth it.
Yeah. Nah, that hit the, what's it called? The nail on the what? Hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Nah, because it's like I pretty much like agree with that a lot. So I think I'm on the opposite side now of doing it so long. It's not the people coming up to me like saying, "Oh man, that really changed," or like really like did something. It's like I'm not hearing that, and I know I'm putting a lot of energy and I'm listening to it like, man, that's deep. And then you don't hear that, but then I will hear I'm paint the whole picture. So recently, one of my friends contacted me about, starting being more consistent online. And he's like, oh man, yeah, I be seeing you so consistent. How can I do it to be consistent? And I'm like, yo, you see me being consistent? You were like none of my stuff. I didn't know you saw me being consistent. That's crazy. I'm like, if I, what I mean? Like if somebody tells you that, you thinking like, oh, they like, they saw it, so they like it. I don't see you with the likes. But that's a whole nother thing. But they're not my avatar, you know what I mean? So I think that's something that, you might, you never know. And I think that's it though. I think it's like you really never know who's watching, so still do it. So even though he, for example, didn't we can just call him Thomas right now. So let's say so we're gonna say even though Thomas didn't actually like you okay over there? I can't put them out because you never know who's listening. That's what I'm saying. They could be listening to this right now. I
think that's where you're going with the story. But continue. Go ahead about Thomas.
But I think it's the same thing you're saying though. Because what I'm saying is that you're like, when you're putting out content, you never know who's affecting. I'm saying the same thing. So you're getting the side of the person talking to you and saying what you're posting is good, right? I'm not getting that. That's what I'm saying. So I'm posting it. People are seeing it. It could be affecting me. He's not saying that. He's just saying, how can I be consistent like you? So it's like you like just kind of agreeing with you. Like you might get like what you got. You might get the person telling you, but you might not get the person telling you as well. And you still have to understand that, you're doing a good job. Because the same way he said, I see you being consistent. Someone else could be like, I see you and I like it. And I don't actually hit that button.
Yeah.
That's all. Oof. Say hi to here. Oh, what?
What else you got? That's all.
Yeah. So, and also you're gonna get the love. You're also gonna get the hate. So we gotta talk about the hate because I know you've been getting hate. You don't gotta shout them out.
No, the funny thing is, so here's how I handle hate. Right. So again, I think it goes back to your why. The only comments that I get that aren't positive are for people that are not, in fact, the persona for Vessel. And so I feel no way about that. I can tell immediately by the response that I quickly skim through that what you're sharing comes from the fact that you are, in fact, not a daughter for Christ that is trying to grow in your faith. Therefore, what you're saying to me is not something that I take heart or that I even remember. I immediately delete the comment, to be honest, and I go on about my day, because the only things that I think would make me be like, okay, have pause, places of correction from people who I trust in the word of God. If there's really a space where someone's like, this is confusing because it counters something that I understand in scripture, but I haven't got to that place. It's just like things that feel like fake people and, weird bots that just say weird things, and you read it and you're like, or just say something like random and hateful, and it's like, you're not who this is for anyway. So I delete it and I go on about my business. So that, and it's still early. I'm sure somebody eventually will say something that I will, have a moment of being like, oof. And then I'll be like, and still release them to forgiveness and go about my day, because I ain't got time to hold them to offense. But
Yeah.
I really don't think about it too much.
Yeah. I get negative comments. It comes from YouTube though. Instagram and TikTok is more like good job and stuff like that. But YouTube is the hateful people out there. So yeah, I kind of do the same thing. Honestly, I don't delete the comments anymore. I used to. I just don't got time. I don't got time to go through it and delete it. So usually like my method of it, if it's just somebody just being negative, I just leave it alone. But if it's someone that's like, even today, I posted a video about one of my coworkers saying they'll never be a millionaire, and I was like, that's not really the mindset you want to have. You want to always have the mindset of wanting more. And their comment was, everybody's not gonna get $1 million. Everybody that works is not gonna get that. You're living in like I don't know if he said he didn't say fantasy land. He said alternate universe or something like that. He said, so you live in an alternate universe. Everybody at work is not gonna get 1 million. And it's just like, that's the problem. You know what I mean? It's like you have that mindset of that you're not gonna get it, because his mindset is that he's in the workforce, he's working to just pay his bills, right? You still have to work to be able to get that money to pay your bills. It's not going to fall in your lap. I think it's the same thing with $1 million. You still going to have to work to get it. It's not going to fall in your lap. It's going to be a different kind of work than just working 40, 50 hours, 60-hour weeks to get it, but it's still going to be a work. So I did respond back to me. Most likely won't respond, but it's like me sometimes when I see stuff like that, it's like I'm here to motivate you. So I never come at to him in a negative way, but I always come at him in a way of trying to help. But sometimes people are just like so far left. I'm like, I'm not responding. So I'm leaving it up there, but it's so far left. I'm like, I don't got time for all of that.
Yeah, my husband, he's a sweet person. Like and like genuinely, like when you see him motivating people, he genuinely has a heart to do that, because he will, like he'll tell me stuff people say. And again, in my head, it's like, based on the avatar of Anthony, you're not an Anthony, okay? That means you ain't got nothing to do with me. Delete, next. That's really how I move.
Yeah.
He's nicer than I am, y'all. God's not through with me. But at the same time, I'm on assignment. And so because my assignment is not, in fact, necessarily to motivate, but to correct, discern, and to sharpen people in the word of God, I'm not going to woo 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 try to help some people that ain't about it. On the other side, for someone who wants to motivate, then it's seeing in you what you don't see and being able to pull that out of you. And so we're gifted in very different areas, and like how we navigate and motivate and partner with people. But yeah.
Yeah.
I love that about you. But yeah, for me, just know, you comment something like that on mine, you getting deleted. I'm going about my business.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it's healthy to respond to that and like use extra energy to do it, because at the end of the day, you already created the content. You created the content, you put the content out there. If they don't agree with it, it doesn't matter. Honestly, I just felt like responding at that point, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? And I just responded. Some days somebody could post something just like that where I could do a little bit correction to help their mindset, and it's like, what's the point? Because you're gonna say it and they're gonna go right back to their day of being negative. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to realize when you're doing it, if you're doing it for a good cause, you can't save everybody. You're gonna save that one person that ends up changing their life by listening to your content or watching your content, but you ain't gonna help everybody. There's no way. So
Yeah. I think that is I think we talked about it in persona, but I think it's so important. You really need to have a clear picture of who it is that you're called to and who it is that you're supposed to be impacting. Because I love what you said earlier, like if you're trying to impact everybody, you're going to impact nobody. It's like I can't give like there are so many people who if I spent my time trying to touch every single person where they are when it came to like developing in faith, then nobody would ever get anywhere. At some point I had to very much know like, okay, God, you've called me to touch young women who were at where I was at a couple years ago, and then to help draw them into a passion to where I am now. So that's my focus. So that you have to understand what your focus is. Whatever that is, stick to that. And that's going to help, I think, with a lot of things that can be distractions, that can be against motivation for you. Like some things you won't even, they'll roll off your shoulder because that's not even for me. That's not even where I'm called to be. So it doesn't even matter. Like, got to let that go and go about my business.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's also the enemy that's trying to stop you from doing, great things. It's like both of us are doing things that are going to be uplifting people. Of course, the negative is going to come. It's like when you when people are posting all the pranks and all this crazy stuff, everybody just laughing in the comments. Nobody's really saying anything against it, But when you're doing like motivational stuff, somebody wants to find something hateful about you passing positivity on, which makes makes no sense. Like if you're trying to be positive, somebody's gonna find something negative in their life to post, and it's like that makes no sense. But yeah, you just gotta just know that's the enemy trying to stop you from doing what you have to do. Just do it. One guy told me, he said, my face routine is in the toilet. That's what he told. And I just laughed because it's like when I looked at my face in that shot, I'm like, yeah, it's I was breaking out during Thanksgiving, you know what I mean? But it's just like to say it, that can be like something that it's not hurting me because I post all the time. It don't matter how my face looks right now because I'm posting. But I'm just saying, and I look good. But what I'm saying is like someone that has like a weaker mindset than me, the minute they post and they start getting excited about posting and somebody says, man, your face routine's in the toilet. Now they're like, man, my face says, look, I don't want to post anymore. You know what I mean? It's like something like that can push you. So don't let negative comments push you down because it ain't pushing me down. You can say whatever. You say my hair's short. You can say this. I don't care what you say. You know what I mean? Like at this point, I'm so confident in myself. It doesn't matter. But don't let, if you're just starting, you might not be that confident. You might just start. Somebody says, man, your voice is annoying. You know what I mean? Like, don't let one negative person stop you from doing it. So you might be, when you first started being where you are, just delete them because you want to make sure you continuously doing it and you don't let these people stop your grind.
Yeah. Yeah. Always delete them if you want to.
You're supposed to keep talking. I just talked for 20 minutes.
That was the sentence. Always delete them if you want to. Delete them and go about your business.
All right. So we're talking about 2025. We're about to be wrapping it up pretty soon. I know I talked about doing it the 12-week year by like, breaking it down like that. How do you break your year down when setting goals for creative wise or just regular life? Well, I guess regular life, you haven't done creative stuff yet, right? Yeah. So yeah, for your life, yeah.
A regular life? Well, you know what? This is going to be a unique year. I will speak to my past. In the past, I do everything in a sense of quarters. I sort of followed how I navigated life in sales. And so everything was based on quarters. Each quarter had a month. And then for each month, I had weekly goals that was working towards getting to the goal at the end of that month. So that helped me to pace. That's what we called it, is pacing, making sure that if I'm going to get certain metrics, that I'm doing certain things by the end of that week. And that way, in that following week, I'm either catching up or I know I'm ahead, right? And so I did the same things in my personal life. I say this year is different because this is our first year married. And so there's a lot of...
married. Yeah. First, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're starting the year married because even, we got married in April.
It took you a little while to say that, baby. You should have known. We got married in April. Like you took a millisecond.
We got married in April.
There you go.
That's how you said. You got married in April. We're in that new stage of newlyweds, and so we didn't go in April and be like, all right, let's remap out our year and how we're navigating our goals in unity. We had already had things that we started doing that year, and we just sort of continued into that flow, and we encouraged each other in those spaces. This year, we're mapping out our goals more unified because we want to accomplish more, and we do accomplish more when we both work together towards similar things. So we're still doing some mapping in that way, but
Also talk about what you created as well. Like you got to really like what did you create the other day on your computer?
oh, a vision board. I was like, what did I?
Talk about that as well because you're the vision board queen. I'm still working on mine.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so we do vision boards. I love digital vision board because I make it my background for my laptop. So that way, whether you want to do it on your laptop, on your cell phone screen, every day I'm going to see that board. And like just like clockwork, as I'm navigating through the year, I'm going through each quarter, I'm going through my weeks. I'm like just chipping away at my goals, and then by end of the year, I'm always still amazed by the grace of God how much I have got done, and almost usually like 90, if not 100% of the things on the vision board I've accomplished or I'm well into. So I think for me, I'm a visual person. Even thinking about navigating from writing into the additional space of doing things in like a podcast and visual space, I think it made sense when I think about how I develop things. Like I need to see it. I need to, put things in a tangible form. And so that has been really helpful for me,
And
the
what you
vision boards.
and what you use to create that vision board? Because I know like back in the day when we had like the physical ones, we use a magazine, cut them out, or print them out pictures and cut them out. What are you using for that?
Yeah, I mean, sort of throwback to that. It's sort of wild because I've been vision boarding since like high school. But high school, yeah, I had a subscription. Shout out to my uncle Steve. He paid for my 17 magazine subscription every birthday, and I had all the magazines. And then sometimes I have like some of the like black women, like your Ebony and all those magazines. And I certainly would make my little cutouts, get my little scissors, and I use a scrapbook as well. Like I said, I've always been a visual person telling stories in that way. So yes, I would have my scrapbook paper and would cut things out. But now we are in 2025, and so the girlies use Canva. So now anything that you want to put or create or navigate, you can put on that board. And then again, just gives you more of that functionality to make it a wallpaper or a digital screen. Or if you still want to go and print it out, make it a poster, put it on your wall in the frame, you still can. But yeah, that's been sort of the upgrade in life. That's wild though. Yeah. I used to love my little magazines. I had me a stack.
Yeah, we gotta check if they got an affiliate link for Canva. If they have affiliate link for Canva, we're putting it down in the show notes. I don't think there is, but we gonna hope. All right, so I know we moved around the place, talked about content creation, talked about 2005 to
Hey,
2020.
how old were you in 2005?
Ooh, I been what 20 years ago, so I was 13. That's crazy.
Hey.
That's crazy. And it's crazy. I think about 9/11 and like some people that I work with wasn't even born yet. And I'm like, what?
Mm.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Yeah, so 2025 we were talking about content creation and we kind of dabbled into, your goals for the new year. So just making sure whatever you do decide to do, just making sure you're consistent. You're not worried about the negative people. Don't even worry about your people, your family and friends, because most likely they won't support you right away. And just do it. Find something that you love and just do it. You got any little final thoughts?
Yeah, Happy New Year. I really do pray that whatever it is that you set your mind to do this year, that you're able to achieve it. I would say just be intentional.
You
For
said I'm like three
Christians,
times, baby. Come on now.
it's late. Let me take my time and get my thought out. Thanks. I just hope that you are prayerful and whatever you're starting to do and putting your mind to, because if you're doing things but you're doing it out of like your own willpower and it's not actually what God is calling you to do, I don't want you to burn a lot of energy on things that are just going to, you'll look back on this year and feel like you got nothing accomplished. So I would say be very intentional as you're starting the year to take time and really set aside moments to be like, okay, Lord, what is it that you're calling me into this year to pray and be focused, and then let him guide you in those spaces. And yeah, just lean into that space and have a great year.
Yep. Happy 2020. That sounds so weird. Happy New Year 2025. My name is, I'm saying too. My name is Jelan Abrams. Or do you end it, right? Right? Don't you end it? Yeah, you end it.
It's been a while. Well, thanks for listening.
Make sure you tell them like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already.
Check out her podcast as well. What's your avatar's name?
I don't think she has a name. Daughter. That's what I call her. Daughter. Daughters of Christ. That's the persona. It's daughters.
Okay. I was gonna shout their name out, but I guess
no. That's it. It's for the daughters of Christ, Jesus. So yeah, if you're a daughter, check it out. If you're a son, you can check it out too. But just know that you're not my target market, so you can still be encouraged. But you know,
it's pretty good. I listen to it.
Yeah.
We're gonna put that in the show notes.
Cool. Yeah. Let's not forget, because we forget to put stuff in the show notes sometimes.
I'm doing better actually.
Hey.
On the last couple episodes, I've been putting some affiliate links in there. So I don't got no affiliate links for this episode, but we're gonna check out Canva and see.
Hey, let's do it. Happy New Year. We're excited to continue to encourage you through this year. We hope that you continue this journey with us throughout 2025. And until next time, be easy.